Next up for recognition will be Senator Dahle from District 1. Joining him today is his family, Assemblymember Megan Dahle, his son, Chase Dahle, the eldest, Reagan Dahle, and my cartwheel buddy, Rosalind Dahle. Welcome to the California State Senate. First up to recognize Senator Dahle will be Senator Eggman.
Okay, and I forgot one more. Logan Hess, the fantastic Ledge Director. I'll keep coming back, ask me to speak again. But right now I want to talk about my friend Brian Dahle. Brian and I came in together in 2012. We have spent these last 12 years together and instantly hit it off. I think we saw in each other the same kind of trying to lead with common sense, trying to let people see your heart, don't think you're too smart, and not be afraid of hard work. When I first got here, one of the first things Brian did is invites everybody up, and I was able to go and meet his lovely family. More than once, I was invited into the Dahle home, once during a forest fire, when the Women's Caucus was out fly fishing, and all of a sudden there was a fire. The Women's Caucus had to evacuate out of that river, and we couldn't go back down. We had to go up. And so the Dahles invited us to their home, opened their home, and we all had a giant sleepover. So thank you to those Dahles and these here. I think some members slept in teenage boys' room, and it was kind of funny. Brian will tell you he didn't go to college, just a farmer, but I'll tell you there's not a smarter person on this floor than Brian Dahle, because he's got a natural curiosity. He always wants to understand, he always wants to learn more, and he always wants to, if he can, be a friend. Brian Dahle is also a man of huge faith, and he is the kind of guy who's a person of faith who he doesn't tell you about it all the time. He never talks about it, he lives it. You see it. You see it in how he carries himself. You see it in how he loves his family. You see it in how he serves his constituents. He lives the Word of God. He lives the Word of God. To love the other, and to love God, and to love our land, right? His family came here as, I was going to say sharecroppers, that's Tony. No, they came here as homesteaders to get a stake of land. And Brian has kept that dream alive with that stake of land. And I think we're all better and all understand farming a little bit more because he tells about us all the time. He's probably as famous for his floor speeches as I am, but in a different kind of way. But it's that same thing, trying to make people understand. Rural California takes up almost the entire state, but they have the fewest representatives. And Brian has been a representative for those people. I'm very proud that I get to speak for somebody who was going to be governor and speak for somebody who was almost governor, because he took his love of California and agriculture and what he believed in and took it on the road, went up and down this state talking about California and the California of his dreams. And we don't agree with each other on policy a lot, although sometimes we do, because we both believe that people need a shot, people need a fair playing field to be able to do their very best, and that hard work should pay off. I had an occasion a couple months ago. People know my brother, like Brian, tall, handsome, charming, all those things. But unlike Brian, I was at an event and there was two women there who said, "Oh, I know your brother." And I cringe and I say, "I'm sorry." And as I'm driving home, I think about how my brother and I are so aligned in politics, but sometimes our behaviors don't always mirror those things. And I thought about the perfect brother, and I thought about Brian, that we don't share the same politics, but I honor his values and his friendship and his courage. When we got here together, it was a little bit, we were still in it was before the Me Too, so there was a lot of things that went on in the evening. and you get to see a lot. Remember, we first got here. I don't know if I ever said this to you, Megan, but you know, I saw a person from across the street being friendly, and I said, it's, you know, and he was so horrified that anybody would even think that he had looked outside his marriage. He immediately changed everything about what could appear, what was not, but could appear to be something it wasn't. Just the appearance of him straying from his family, from his commitment, from his values was so horrifying to him. I'll never forget that. And I'll never forget you, my brother from the North State of Jefferson. I love you, man.
Thank you, Senator Eggman. Next up, Republican leader Brian Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I want to file an official complaint for whoever's assigned the speaking order that I never want to follow Senator Eggman ever again in a speech of any kind. She's had some powerful words this year on the floor. And thank you. I'm very impressed that you did all that without notes and got through it. I'm going to try to do this with notes and still get through it. Members, it's an honor, of course, whenever you're asked to speak on somebody's behalf and recognize the importance that they are to you. Professionally, of course, is always a big deal, but personally is even a bigger deal. And Brian is a big deal in my life and my family's life. But the reason he's a big deal is because of his family supporting him and helping him be a big deal. I mean, first off, anybody named Brian's got to be a pretty cool dude in the first place. But as some of you may remember, Brian is the founding member, one of the founding members of the Bryan Caucus, which was a big deal when we were in the Assembly because nearly 20% of the Assembly Republicans at the time were named Brian. And so we thought we were kind of hot shots by starting the Bryan Caucus. But Brian has tackled many issues over the years. And one of the things that impressed me immediately when Brian got elected in 2012, and for those of you that will remember this, the class of 2010, which Pro Tem Emeritus, myself, Senator Grove, I think are the only ones here that, Nancy was here at that time, but those of us that got elected in 2010 had a particular type of attitude when we got here. And the class of 2012 got elected and came in, I think can honestly say, a better attitude, wanting to get things done, wanting to work to be collaborative. And Brian was one of the first Republicans that I got to watch work in that manner. And immediately, I coined the phrase, the Democrat whisperer. Because Brian was able to build relationships across the aisle that many of us had tried and struggled to do, but actually came in and he set the example of how to do that. How to stay true to your principles, true to your policies, true to your faith, but at the same time find a way to be effective and make a difference. Not just for his district, but for the entire state. I think Brian did that. Just a few of the issues that Brian worked on are rural broadband, agriculture, healthcare, water and transportation, wildfire prevention, energy, and the list goes on and on. Not a single one of those is a softball. Every single one of them big, important issues that Brian championed and took on. He represents, I think, the largest Senate district in the state. He has dozens of counties covering a massive amount of California, ranging from Happy Camp to Goose Lake, to Peaceful Pines to nearby Folsom, from Rockland to Whitney Ranch, and every point in between. He has served his constituent proudly for 5 years in the Senate and 7 years in the Assembly. Before that, he was elected to the Lassen County Board of Supervisors and re-elected 3 times. As we all know, Brian began as being a state legislator can be a tough job. Serving in local government is really tough. And Brian Dahle did it for 16 years before joining us here in Sacramento to help us fix California. Senator Dahle, as we all know, is a big supporter of FFA, Future Farmers of America. And I'm sure that there's lots of good stories about him supporting young farmers and young ranchers and state fairs and things like that. And he had lots of great headlines when he was running for governor. I think there's a couple of stories that were told while he was governor in headlines he would have rather done without when it was dealing with supporting future young folks coming up in the farming. I'll let you all look that up for yourselves. We all know he strongly supports 4-H, which is, if I have this in the right order, head, heart, hands, and health. But Senator Dahle is also a supporter of the 4 F's. Yes, the 4 F's. Faith, as Senator Eggman rightly pointed out very clearly. He serves God and demonstrates every day his unwavering support for the right of all others to believe and practice their own faith and religion. And when I think of Brian in my personal life, I think of Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens an iron, a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. And I think I can say, I know for myself, but I think for both of us, that there has been many times that as iron has sharpened iron, we have sharpened the countenance of each other. Sometimes in agreement, but that sharpness comes in disagreement when you can work them out, speak it out, talk it out, walk it out, and at the end of that experience, come to an agreement and work together to make the world a better place. Family, of which Brian strongly loves, who are all here today and are the backbone of Brian's life and his service, not here in the state, but his entire life. His hardworking staff. You know, one of the things I believe, after being here for as many years as I've been, that how you judge a fellow member of the legislature, or any person actually, is their relationship with their staff. And if you watch Brian's staff from the moment he got here to the moment that he's leaving, he has some of the hardest working, most loyal. I believe some of them, if they had to, would walk through snow from the Capitol to Bieber for him if there was a task that needed to be done and they knew it was for the better good. Freedom. Nobody can make a more persuasive argument than Brian Dahle for the absolute need to protect freedom for Americans, particularly the plight of family farmers and small business owners. His heart and thoughts are always with the struggling small businesses and disappearing family farmers. Thank you for those impassioned pleas on this floor that I know has moved votes. I know it has. Maybe not on the floor every single time, but I know in committee, and I know behind the scenes, and I know as members are talking to folks at different events, your impassioned pleas have made a difference, and they will continue to make a difference, and that'll be part of your legacy. The 4th F is for friendship. There's no better friend to have than Brian Dahle. It is through thick and thin for his friends, which know no boundaries, including politics. And ladies and gentlemen of the Senate, I would implore you to look at the example of Senator Dahle and Senator Eggman, Senator Grove and Senator Atkins as the example that we should all aspire to of having a friendship that is meaningful in this building, and not just in this building, but those friendships have an impact and an everlasting legacy on the future of California from this day moving forward. It is a personal goal of mine to build those kind of relationships and follow that example from my friends. He is literally the poster person for agree to disagree, but don't be disagreeable. Brian, Megan, and their family have hosted over 140 legislators from both parties to their house in Bieber, California. Where is Bieber, California? I mean, who ever heard of Bieber, California? I talked to people in my district about Justin Bieber. Why does Justin Bieber have a town in California? 300 people? 217. And my family has stayed in those teenage bedrooms also. One of the things I pride in my kids is all three of my kids know how to drive a stick shift. I had the privilege of teaching my older two. He had the privilege of teaching my youngest one how to drive his big it's a big Dodge, so, which is totally different than driving a small little Jeep. He was and still is like a child on Christmas morning when he's about to finalize a bipartisan agreement on something by working across the aisle for the common good. When Brian Dahle wasn't working for California in his district and committee or on this floor, he was hosting wild game feeds or his annual peach distribution, which we got to enjoy yesterday. As one of the former leaders in our caucus, Brian has been a source of much wisdom and advice, which I sincerely appreciate, and part of that ironing, sharpening iron. In 2022, as we've already heard, Brian stepped up and carried the Republican flag in the race for governor against a well-funded incumbent. Many of you may not know this, though. Brian carried a majority of counties, 33 out of 58, and won more Senate seats and more congressional seats than the members running in those seats. So he set the example for Republicans on how to win. Over 40% of voters, 4 out of 10 Californians throughout the state, wanted him to be governor back in November 2022. And I'll just take a guess here that there's probably even more that would like for him to be governor today. I'll just leave it at that. Senator Dahle, I'm going to miss you. You are a brother. You're my older brother. And I've always needed an older brother. You just ask my mom. And I know that our friendship is going to last the time. And when we both depart from here, our friendship is genuine and real. And we'll continue. And I'll look forward to hosting you down in my district, at my home, at some point in time. The difference between my district and his district is there's lots of cool places to stay in my district. The only cool place to stay in his district is his house. So, members, I'm really going to miss Senator Dahle. But we have a new Senator Dahle coming in December, I believe. And the new Dahle will even be better than the old Dahle when she gets here. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me thank Senator Dahle for his service to our state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Jones. Senator Dahle, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, my friends, for speaking. First, I want to thank God for blessing me with the opportunity to serve the North State. For the past 12 years, I am deeply humbled. And then I want to talk about Megan, you're the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I love you so much. Thanks for saying yes to me. Thanks for being a great mom. Thanks for being a great assemblywoman. Thanks for everything that you've done for my life and for my family and our future. You are the rock, and I could not do anything without you. So thank you so much for being my partner for life. And I want to I'm going to go away from my notes because I want to say something about Senator Eggman right at this point, because a true friend will challenge you and question you. And Senator Eggman, I went out and had some beers with the environmental friend of ours. She's our friend. And Susan heard about it and thought something was up. And she called me out on it. And we were walking down the street, I'll never forget it. And it was the greatest thing that ever happened to me, because I made a rule that day that nothing good after 10:30 at night happens, and I would go home at 10:30 because I don't want that perception. But it took a good friend to tell me, hey, this is the perception. And so, Susan, I told my son about that the other night when I was talking about you, so I just want to take a little sidebar. And now I want to, Megan, I love you. You're the rock. Chase, you were 12 years old when we started, and you're 24 today. You have stepped up to be a man. I am so proud of you. You are running our business. You're running our farm. You're taking on the generations of Dahles that will hopefully still be on that land, and I appreciate you so much. You are unbelievably a wonderful human being. Reagan, one year of your life you substituted to run for governor for me and spent the whole time on the campaign trail with me, and I love you so much, and you're gonna be in this game someday, I believe. I don't know how you're gonna do that, but I believe you'll be part of this process because you need to be, quite frankly. And you'll be 1,000 times better than I am. Now, Roz, 12 years ago, we were at Chicory walking across the street. You were 3. And I was holding your hand, and you said to me, Daddy, is that your castle? And I said, yes, it's where I'm going to go to work. Here you are now, a woman. I don't know how many thousands, tens of thousands of miles you've ridden in a car back and forth to Bieber. And you are wiser than your years. I'm sorry that there was times when you had to deal with your dad running for governor and having to put up with that at school and ridiculed and all the things, but you're better for it. You'll live through it, and you're awesome. I can't wait to see the rest of your story, all 3 of you, your stories and your history and the chapters that you'll do in this great state. So thank you guys. I love you so much. Now to the staff, Bernie, Erica. Erica, I have something for you. It's our inside joke. I want to thank you so much for making us all look so good and doing the hard work behind the scenes, the sergeants, the committee consultants that make us so much better, that I've built relationships with, and I gave a speech on the budget, and they were back in the back, and they were teared up. They were teared up, and they said, Brian, we're going to miss you. And I'm like, I'm going to miss you more. And I'm going to miss the fight. So the committee consultants, the Republican caucus team, and the Dahle team. I'm not going to name them off because nobody's specialer than anybody else. They're all amazing. To my district staff, who's traveled tens of thousands of miles in this giant district to go serve somebody, to my staff helping other members through the EDD process. Every one of you is so special to me. I love you so much. You've been amazing. And to the staff that I don't have working for me now, that work for other members, it's amazing how many. Senator Wynn has a chief of staff that came from my office. My wife has a chief of staff that came from I can just tell you there's many people that worked in my office, and I love you all, and I'm so proud to see you grow, and I expect you to continue to do that. Now, to my employees at home, I don't know where the camera's at, and my neighbors, for harvesting my crops, for taking care of my business. Lester Shepard, I love you. You run my business better than I could. They're wonderful people. And to the people in my little town of Bieber that said, yes, you can do it. We are behind you. Go to the state. We will take care of your land. We will take care of your family. All those amazing people, I want to just say thank you so much. I could not have done it. I could not run my business and be here, and they did it for me. Now I want to just take a second to give you a little bit about why I love California so much and why this place is so important. My grandfather, during the Great Depression, came to California looking for a job. He was the second youngest of 13 kids. And he was a machinist. He got shot in the war, World War I. And he went to LA, could not find a job. And he ended up north. He had an uncle in Shasta County that he went to visit. And his uncle told him, you need to go to Siskiyou County. They're giving out land grants for veterans. And he went and put his name in a pickle jar. And they drew his name out, and we got an 80-acre homestead 94 years ago. And California has been great to the Dahles. And he said, this is the promised land. This is the place. He was Mormon. The Mormons were in Utah, and he said they missed it. They should have been in California. And so when you till the land and you think about the next generation, that was my grandfather and my dad, and now me, and now Chase are going to tend that land. So it's about the next generation. It is why I do what I do, because I want a future for my kids. I want a future for your kids, and I want a future for this state. It's amazing. It's an amazing state. It's been a great run to be able to serve with all of you. I thank you for coming to my district and understanding, and thank you for taking me to your districts and understanding and telling me your stories. I think at the end of the day, we need more the relationships that we've built and learning try to walk in someone else's shoes before you judge what they do. Because when you do, you'll understand a lot more about them. I've learned so much from all of you. I talked about it with Senator Bradford. I've learned different ways of life, different cultures. And that weighs in on how this awesome state is. It is a melting pot like no other. It has a lot to offer. And there's obviously challenge, but I want to just say to all of you and my family and my district and my staff, I love you all. The term is up, but the work still needs to be done, and I will be doing some work in making this state a great state. So thank you all. I appreciate it.
Congratulations, Senator Dahle, for your service. Thank you.